So Arnold Barboza pretty much dominated Kenneth Sims Jr. when they fought this past weekend. I mean, by the time this video comes out, it'll probably been the weekend before. But it was Arnold Barboza's debut at 147 following his pretty dominant loss to Teofimo Lopez at 140. He decided to move up to 147, fought Kenneth Sims in a fight where I think a lot of people thought this was either going to be a close fight, or I think a lot of people did expect Arnold Barboza to win. Of course, he's the former world champion, and his only loss is to Teofimo Lopez. Granted, I don't think anyone should have been going into this fight underestimating Kenneth Sims, because up to this fight, Kenneth Sims has shown, some promise. He'd shown that he's a guy who's, a bit of a slick boxer, a guy that potentially has the tools to cause someone like Arnold Barboza problems. Not that he's anywhere near the level of a Teofimo Lopez, but in some ways presents similar issues where they're awkward, they're slick, they're a bit of a boxer puncher. But ultimately, when we were in there for the 12 rounds, it was a pretty easy fight for Arnold Barboza, and it looked like it's one of these fights where Kenneth Sims really just couldn't get going, and Arnold Barboza was on point and just took those rounds off of him. And by the end of the fight, we were sort of left with no doubt. Huge comeback win for Arnold Barboza, because he really did need to win this fight, and it was a must win, because if you lose to Teofimo, then lose to Kenneth Sims Jr., your career prospects really aren't looking good, particularly when it's not like Kenneth Sims is a guy, I don't believe he's been a world champion before. He's lost to guys who aren't really at the world championship level. Oscar Duarte, he was going to fight Richardson Hitchens for a world championship, but, he's not on the level of, example, for Teofimo Lopez, right? Where Teofimo Lopez at one point was regarded as, one of the top names at 140. And I guess Richardson Hitchens is regarded as one of the top names at 140, but Oscar Duarte isn't regarded as a top name at 140. But I say that to say, Kenneth Sims, like I said, I do think he is a good boxer, and on a different day maybe could have caused Arnold Barboza some more problems. It felt like Arnold Barboza was really comfortable in there, and I guess, you have to become comfortable in there. You don't just start off a fight comfortable necessarily, but it's not like Kenneth Sims was putting up a ton of resistance, and he was going first, he was, initiating exchanges, getting out of there. He was just winning the rounds. He was winning the rounds, winning the exchanges, just taking round after round off of Kenneth Sims. And Kenneth Sims really didn't have any meaningful answers for him. Kenneth Sims, like I said, he never really got going. He looked a bit flat. He looked too passive, and he seemed too comfortable allowing the rounds to get away from him as well. So, yeah, we've got some things to consider there. I mean, for Kenneth Sims, I don't know what's next for him. Of course, he's now campaigning at 147. If you're losing to Arnold Barboza, then, that you're really not going to be left with a ton of options unless you do another rebuild job. But I believe that's his fourth loss of his career, so it's not looking great for Kenneth Sims. Looking like he'll probably never go on to win a world championship, but that's boxing for you, man. Only a certain amount of guys can become world champions, so let me know what you guys thought of this performance. Did you think that... was you expecting this from Arnold Barboza, or was you expecting to see perhaps a better performance from Kenneth Sims? In my opinion, I was probably expecting a bit of a better performance from Kenneth Sims Jr. Where, like I said, he just seems really comfortable, really passive, and just allowed Arnold Barboza to go first, win the exchanges. Granted, Arnold Barboza had to have the initiative to go first. So, I'm not trying to make it sound like, oh yeah, Kenneth Sims just let him win. Even though, in my opinion, Kenneth Sims did kind of let him win, Arnold Barboza still has to go out there and execute. Right? So let me know what you guys thought of that fight. And I know after that fight, Arnold Barboza did call out a couple of names. I'll probably make a separate video about that. But let me know what you guys thought of Barboza v Sims Jr. in the comments below. Another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.